Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to day 25 of 30 Inks 30 Days, the Challenge by Ink Journal to have just one pen and one ink going per day. So here we are on day 25, and I'm using this as my ink for today, the J Herbin Lite. It's kind of a light brown, but it's a pretty brown, and I like it a lot. So let's dive right in here to where we have it in the ink journal. Now I'm going to cover yesterday's so it won't distract us, and we'll get right in there. This is 68 GSM Tomoe River paper in the Bond Travel Gear notebook, and I start out each time with the broad nib and the Serendipity. It's a Yo-O nib. Before we talk about dry times, I'll just say that I found that this ink was available lots of places, so this isn't an exhaustive list of where you can find it. But Jet Pens has these little bottles that are 10 mil. And to me, that's perfect. That is just perfect. And actually, mine was gifted to me by pen friend BH. So thank you very much. I have been really enjoying this ink. But I found it at Anderson Pens too, and Goulet, and Jet Pens. Anderson Pens actually had a 100 mil bottle of this, so if you fall in love with it and you want to write with it every day, that's pretty good, because that's 22.5 cents per mil, $22.50 for 100 milliliters. That's a lot of ink, of the same ink. But okay, so broad nib, it took 30 seconds to dry, and then in the stub nib, the Goulet 1.5 stub nib, it was dry at 25, so that's good. Looks real pretty. And then I must have had a little variation in ink flow in that pen, because I see how dark it got here. All of a sudden it was pouring out of the nib. That's the way that goes sometimes. Fine nib, 20 seconds to dry. I still felt like it was flowing really well. Of course it's going to appear a little different through a fine nib, but I liked it. 20 seconds, yeah, 20 seconds to dry, I said that. My first impressions, this ink has better flow than many inks, and I just really like it. I like the color. It doesn't leave me with any impression but brown. So if a brown is too dark, I don't like it. If it's lighter, I do. I have some light browns that I super love. Super warm browns that look orange, I like them. But if it gets too dark, then I don't usually like it, so I do like this one. Look at that chromatography. See how we have a kind of a dark gray that stays? I see some blue, definitely some yellow, orange coming up, and then some red. It's quite interesting. Makes me wonder if anything like will come out on the chromatography. I don't know. Okay, so let's, since we've just looked at the chromatography, let's look at the bath test that proved it out. See where we had that dark gray line? This is 20 minutes in a submerge in a bath test, and it you could still read it. You aren't going to have your brown anymore. You end up with a dark gray, but that is amazing. I was surprised by that. I don't know why. Not after seeing the chromatography, but the whole idea of this happening with this ink, I was kind of surprised. Now yesterday's was our Diamine Soft Mint. That's over here. And that got an A on the clean out. I just haven't labeled it. It was super easy to clean out. Amazingly easy. So we have some really well-behaved inks here. I'd hate to see myself trying to clean 3 pens a day that were hard to clean out. So okay. And then someone asked me a question that I'd like to answer here on the video. They asked, well, what do you do at the end of the day if you have ink left? Well, this is the routine I've gotten into. I've enjoyed the stub nib so much, and I've moved my pen, so just imagine my stub nib pen is here. I enjoy that nib so much that I go ahead and take a syringe, take the ink out of the fine nib, and, you know, completely fill the stub nib, and then I go to town writing pen pal letters and writing in my process notebook, and I try to finish the ink. And if I don't finish the ink, and in this case, I'm not going to finish it because I have this little bottle, and I just emptied a whole bunch into the little sample vial too. But I I will take it out of the stub nib at night and put it into here. And the serendipity just rinses out. So that's pretty simple. That's pretty straightforward on that. Whatever's left in that nib, when I get ready to go to sleep, I clean all 3 of the pens real quick in the kitchen. And some of the days where I only started with 2 mils, they're gone. They're history and they're cleaned out, and there wasn't any left, or there was so little that it didn't matter. And you know, I'm an ink miser. I save it for art, and it goes all the way over to my art desk if I'm going to keep it. So that, hopefully that'll answer that question. And then let's look on Rhodia paper. We haven't done that yet. I've got my bookmark in the correct place. Yes. Okay, so I thought this ink looked super well on this bright, crispy white paper, the Rhodia. This is Rhodia 80 GSM dot grid. It was dry at 25 seconds, other than the fact that I do see slight, very slight smear. This ink does need to be dry. I mean, you've got to be careful because it's very flowy, but it's not a super long drying ink or anything. I just would be careful in the spots where it, like I did make a smear right off, and that told me, hey, slow down. Here in the broad nib, it was dry at 25 seconds too. I mean, stub nib, sorry, 1.5 stub nib. And we go down into the Lamy fine nib, and I don't know why that wasn't dry sooner. That didn't make any sense to me. But that's what happened anyway. 25 seconds to dry. It's like they all took about the same amount of time. Note, nice flow, keeps it great even in the fine nib, still dark enough for me. Yeah, I do feel that way. Of course, I love a nice bold line, so I'm pretty crazy about how it looked in both the broad and the stub. Let's jump on to CVS caliber paper. This is inexpensive paper and some of my favorite paper to just use and not feel so bad about, just for note taking and quick lists and things. Here it is in the broad nib. It was taking longer. Well, no, that's not fair. I didn't count out the 25, and it was dry at 30. So I would imagine it was probably dry at 25 seconds, probably about the same as the Tomoe River paper. Wow, I just plain skipped right over the dry time on the stub. I'll tell you why. I'm sandwiching a lot of things in between today. I had a super busy morning at a great noontime. I got to get out of the house, and I've got an important work-related thing to do this afternoon too. So it's one of those days. But I would hypothesize it would take approximately the same to dry. And then down here, it was almost dry at 15 seconds in the fine nib. And this was a good paper ink matchup. The flow really helped it. Certainly you lose that boldness in the fine nib, but it's still nice, and it was super comfortable to write all the way down through in all the nibs that I tried. So we don't have anything more than the usual ghosting on it. No bleed through or anything. Okay, and then let's look on the back of the Rhodia just to be sure. Wow, I could tell we're almost finished with 30 inks, 30 days because I made this just right. The notebook's only a little bigger than it needed to be. And we see just a tad of ghosting, not much. Super good paper. Of course, I would expect it would be fine. And then over on the back of the Tomoe River 68 GSM, we see what to me is normal for Tomoe River paper. And once you get your writing on the back side, you won't even notice. So, okay. Now, got to make sure that we look at the comparison panel. This was really fun. I like browns. Brown inks are really cool. And I kind of have an interest in more than one of the shades of brown. So that's why I have quite a few. Let's see. See if that's at least straight. Okay, so our ink of the day is right in the middle. Lee de Tay, right here. And we find quite a few that are a little bit similar. And then we've got darker, we've got warmer, we've got reddish, we've got orangish, we've got everything. So let me see where to begin here. Well, let's begin with the opposite end. This is darker down here to the right at the bottom. And this is the Jacques Herbin I can't pronounce it and I haven't looked it up yet, but it's in that new group of 10 from Goulet Pens. They sent me the samples for us to look at and review and everything. So that's going to be fun. It is darker though. You can see that, I'm sure, even on camera. And then KWZ Cappuccino gives me the idea that it's different, quite a bit different, and yet there's some similarities. Quite a bit, you know, in the actual color swatch, there's quite a bit of similarity. So what else have we got going here? We've got Pelikan Edelstein Smoky Quartz, which is a little bit darker, and it's complex too. So I'm not sure what to expect later when we do that, our art, but it'll be fun. Birmingham Jack and Jill reminded me of it, even though this seems more dusty colored. And I'm not sure about the availability on Jack and Jill. I'm really not. Here's like a warmer kind of a Diamine Tobacco Sunburst. That's pretty. That came in an ink flight where it was the secret inks, and we didn't find out till later what they were. And then we've got a couple other warm inks up here. Robert Oster Cafe Crema. It's gorgeous. It's going to be a whole different tone, and so is Tasha Golden Wheat. And then Birmingham John Arbuckle Coffee Bean. That's a very interesting brown ink, but it's a long ways from our ink of the day. So I've got several others, so I'll try to go through them quickly. Here's Diatramentus Khaki, which is lighter by quite a bit, but I thought we'd show that. I just think it helps to try to place the ink. And then now let's go darker. Here's Kaveco Caramel Brown. And there's just a lot of difference in that ink to our Lee Tay. Okay, and then, well, here's another dark one. Hope I don't have it on the panel. Krishna Dark Chocolate. That's extremely dark. And if I remember right, when I get this in a nib, it often looks black. So I'm going to have to experiment around with which pen I like it in the best. And I haven't taken time to do that yet. Okay, then here's a reddish brown. This is Sitz Kruznock Chestnut Brown, and to me that's a reddish brown. I'm not sure. I make a quick statement like that and then I wonder, am I right? I don't know, but it appears to be. And then another one that's like that is Monteverde Scotch Brown. That's a gorgeous ink too. But it's a whole different tone, and I know that it's darker. It appears darker in a nib. So then going lighter is Diamine Ochre. That's a pretty ink. I haven't had time to play with this one yet. And I just noticed today that it kind of looks a little bit like SBRE Brown, which is one of my favorite inks. It just is so pretty. And I know the camera makes it look more orange than it looks, but it's one of my very favorites. I love it coming out of a nib, and it doesn't look quite like this coming out of a nib either. So hopefully that'll help you place this ink, you know, amongst the other browns. Maybe you're familiar with at least one of these. And let's talk about what I thought about the ink. This is the little pocket-sized book by The Pen Thing, Ink Swatch Plot Log. And I put down, love it, flow, true color, great on CVS caliber. Yeah, that's good for me to remember, because it's not always, and when it is, it makes it a really good color. Now, I've already written a lot on my process notebook to be ready for this afternoon's conference too. So that's good to know that I can use that brown, and I can use any other color with it because I feel like brown is a neutral. Saturation, it's to me it's good, like between 6 and 7. Flow is better than good. It's extraordinary. I put 9. I didn't see shading. So with my particular nib I'm using today, I really didn't see it. You may in something you're using. Dry time I thought was pretty average. It didn't seem to take that long. I just needed to be careful not to smear it while it was drying, because it comes out of my nibs pretty quickly. Okay, I didn't see sheen, halo, or shimmer. And so I put an overall of an 8 due to flow, color, and behavior. I just love it. I love this ink. I super love these little bottles too, because this to me is like the perfect amount to get to know an ink super well. 10 mil, it's more than enough, of course, to test and to review and everything, but it is you can be with this for quite a while in several different pens and still not be committed to 90 or 80, milliliters of ink. So let's see. I get that awful feeling I'm forgetting something again. Let's hope I'm not. And let's go ahead and try the art technique, the Nick Stewart ink art with this ink. I think that'll be fun. And I'll give you a glimpse of yesterday's. I still love it. It had moments before it dried where I loved it even more, but this is just so happy to look at. It was pretty. And it's got me, I dragged out yesterday's ink to try with this brown too, because I kind of thought that the brown and the kind of sea foam, or whatever you want to call it, kind of a light blue, I thought that looked good together. So we'll see how I'll start with the brown ink and then we'll just see how it goes. Okay, I've got paintbrushes. I don't want to start with my usual one, and I got a couple of, oh, no, I don't. I have to go get my other pen. Days like this, everything gets scattered. So the Lamy Vista, I really like it for the fine nib for detailing. So let's get started. I'm going to work right over to the right of yesterday's and just get some water down. Okay. Get plenty, but maybe not too much. We'll see. I'm going to start with the brown, but then I'm going to probably try both. We'll see. Yeah, I think we'll be using both. In fact, oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay. Cool. I don't want to go too crazy. I want to leave a little room for the other color. So let's see. Maybe we would just do in here. That's neat. Huh. Got my face in there or something. All right. I would like to put... Ooh, and this was sent to me by a generous pen friend. Thank you so much. That actually does a lot better job than this one with the bigger hole. I'm just going to enjoy it so much. So thank you. Let me get my other paintbrush and see if we can just do maybe a little bit of sky and so forth. I loved what that did yesterday. Probably won't be able to duplicate it if I try, but maybe. You never know. And I will say, I didn't like it when it first went on, but it dried really interestingly yesterday. See how it did that? Okay. I might just let that alone for a minute here and work on the front part. Oh, I got every paintbrush out, I think. Just about. I'm going to be busy tonight too, because I got to mow the backyard because we're going to get another rain and it's dry right now. So it's wicked hot. So I'm hoping to be able to wait until it cools off a little around 7 o'clock, but I don't know. I may get antsy and want to get it over with and just go on out there in the heat, but we'll see. Oh, okay. That's where the little liner comes in. I'd like to see some... Oh, I like what that sky kind of is doing. I just thought maybe I'd enjoy this, like if it's sort of like water. Yeah, that doesn't disappoint me, really. It doesn't. I like that. Okay. Let's see. Sometimes I forget I'm filming when I get to doing this. Let's see if a little bit of something here would... I don't know. Yeah, the harder I try, it's not really to be tried. It's to... Oh, where's that water brush? I'd like to kind of blend that in a little. That's neat. Huh. Okay, maybe a little more color. Oops. Just a little more blue somewhere. This is so much fun. Okay. Just... You know, that kind of reminds me of dirty snow. I don't know. Okay, I might be just... I know what I wanted to do. I have brown in that fine nib. That's what I wanted to do. I bet it's too dry. But we'll just try anyway. There we go. Yeah, good thing I remembered. I knew there was some reason I was trying to... Not bad. That's just neat how it's curling up there. I hate to mess with it because it's going to probably go away. And we know it's going to dry and it's going to change, but this is part of the fun, is just watching what it does. Okay, I think that's it for today for this. I'll let it dry and then let me hold it up a little. That's pretty. It's kind of nice to work with two colors. Feels like we're getting three colors. Feels like a brown and then a little bit of that in-between color. No telling how that'll dry. Okay, so for tomorrow, for day 26, we're going to have a very special ink. This is the one that I won in a giveaway that I didn't know I was entered for. Or they just chose among people who followed 2 different accounts on Instagram. And this is Robert Oster, Netherlands Eerst. It's Netherlands' first pen show. So it was a very special ink, limited to 200 bottles. And it's a green. And what the fun will be is not the fact that we can't buy any more of it. But the fun will be looking at what might look like it and then having those discussions in the comments so that we can compare inks and see if there's something similar to this. And I'm sure there is. May not be exactly, but that's where I love the challenge of that. And I don't have an exhaustive green ink collection, but I'm getting there, getting where I have quite a few more. So I'll see you back here tomorrow with this one for day 26, and I'm excited about it. Let me think, am I telling tales? If I've had it in a nib at all, it's probably been the glass nib, and I don't remember having it in a nib yet, so I'm excited about that. Okay, so what did you think of today's? Of our J Herbin Lit d'été. It's got that quality to it where it doesn't completely wash away, which is very intriguing. And I'm beginning to like that more as I see that the ink will still clean out of pens. And I'll find out tonight how this does, but I don't expect any problems. I'll let you know tomorrow. So I'll see you back here tomorrow with our beautiful green ink from Robert Oster. And I'd love to hear what you think about this and how your 30 days is going. I've really been having fun, and there's been a lot of insights. An awful lot of them. I'm kind of jotting them down. And it's not just insights about ink and pen. About life in general, about discipline, about how we decide what's important and juggle and change our schedule or don't change it, how to do things. It's kind of neat, a challenge like this. And of course, I piled on a layer of extra challenge by wanting to do a video every day. So I recognize that. This would be quite cut and dry if it was just try a different ink every day and stick with that one pen and ink and then do an Instagram. So anyway, I'll talk about that more later. Bye for now.